But the night was warm, we were bold and young. All around, the wind blows, we would only hold on to let go. Love is America, we need someone to lean on. Love is America, all we need is somebody to lean on. Love is America, we need someone to lean on. Love is America, all we need is somebody to lean on.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday afternoon. Happy, it's not even the All-Star game anymore, Phil. I decided this about 30 seconds ago. We're going to be talking about the Some Stars game after what the information, the Some Stars game after the information that we heard earlier today about who is not playing in today's game. I am Chip Keggy, joined on his first real edition of Chips and Dish is Phil Stifel. What's up, buddy? Happy Sunday.
It's a good Sunday. I'm over last night and I'm ready to go for today.
Yeah, well, I mean that speaks for just a few of us because I'll tell you what, I was so excited for this NBA All-Star game, and I'm not anymore.
No, I mean actually, I won't lie. I'm never actually excited for an NBA All-Star game. I think there's so much more the NBA can do with All-Star game weekend to make it fresh, to make it more interesting. I think the current format, I think the current, skills competition format, I think it's all outdated. You could tell that the players don't really care. They care about one thing, the fourth quarter of the All-Star game, and that's it. Outside that, it's just it's a useless, and you could tell by when we get into the slam dunk competition and stuff like people aren't the players don't care. So it's more of a party and atmosphere for them. I know the NBA has to do it because of the money aspect of it, but they really need to sit down at the drawing board and revamp All-Star Weekend.
So I'm kind of the exact opposite of that. And shout out to Richard who's in Atlanta. And Richard, I don't know if you're in there for the All-Star game, but sorry if the traffic sucks, but it's Atlanta. It's not Philly.
Yeah.
But I like the NBA out of all of the All-Star games of the four major sports. The NBA All-Star game is the one I enjoy the most.
I actually agree with you on that.
It's the one I enjoy the most. The Pro Bowl, nobody watches the Pro Bowl, but I always liked when they did the skills competitions. Hockey, I haven't watched a hockey All-Star game in forever. Baseball, but basketball, I always find myself watching All-Star Saturday night because I enjoy the three-point contest, and thinking of the people who can, be in the Larry Bird, the Steph Curry conversations. I love the slam dunk contest when it's good. The skills competition I'm fine with. I like the jock jams where they have the celebrities playing. Basically, that's cool. And then I typically don't watch the physical All-Star game on Sunday. This year they're kind of cramming it all into one night, so I don't have much of a choice.
I actually think that them cramming it in will make me watch more of it. But okay. I think you love all those different things. The three-point contest, in my opinion, is the class of the whole entire weekend, or in this case, this year, today. The three-point contest, I think they take the most serious out of all the players that are involved in it. Everybody wants that because of, they want to look like Bird or whoever else, has won that in the past. But on the flip side of the equation, the dunk contest, it hasn't been relevant. Let's be honest. It hasn't been relevant in a long time.
Every couple of years, there's a good one. But for the most part, I agree with you. It's definitely a struggle to get like the great dunk competitions again.
You look back. I mean, you could talk about Kobe, Jordan. Some of the greatest basketball players of all time used to participate in it, and now
it's not.
Now we got Opie and Simons or whatever his name is. You prepped me on his name, and I messed it up anyway. I mean, they only have 3 guys in the dunk contest. I mean,
well, and that goes to the schedule.
But
that goes to the schedule.
So it really is useless and meaningless to me, unless you're going to have, the elite stars. And I brought this up last year. When I first started, I was just starting to cover sports and stuff, and I was talking to people online about it, is you got to, if you want to do the dunk contest still, which I actually have an alternative to the dunk contest. If you want to do the dunk contest still, you got to find a way. The NBA is a multi-billion-dollar organization. You got to find a way to put some serious coin up, whether it's for charity or not, to get some of these stars in the game. And LeBron now at this point is too late in his career to get into it and all. But you could find some of the top. You might be able to get a Ben Simmons in a dunk contest if you're putting something online. Throw $1 million to the winner's charity or something.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like a lot, but maybe some more people.
Not for the NBA, but not for the NBA. It's not.
And I think it would maybe bring a few more names to the event and make it exciting again.
So just for those of you who are not really up to date with what's going on, they're cramming everything into one day today. So the schedule is up on the screen in front of you. The coverage starts at 5. At 6:30, they're going to do the skills challenge and the 3-point contest. Then at 8 o'clock, they're doing the actual all-star game. At halftime of that game, they'll do the slam dunk contest, and then they'll finish the whole damn thing out. So that's the schedule. Take it for what you will, but we'll go from there. One thing we do have to discuss being that we are a Philadelphia-based podcast, and you can see on the screen in the background is we're a Sixers organization right now. Phil's rocking his Sixers jersey. Phil, who are you wearing? Joel Embiid. Interesting. I, of course, am rocking the Lower Merion Kobe Bryant jersey from 99jersey.com. It's one of my favorites. Make sure you check them out. But here is what we need to talk about first. News broke today that Joel Embiid, starter, and Ben Simmons, reserve, are not playing in today's All-Star game due to a positive COVID test from a barber that they have together. They were in Philadelphia. They got their haircut. They got on a plane to Atlanta, and they were told in Atlanta, there's an exposure. You two are not playing. Should they be playing this game at all? I am asking the LeBron James question.
No. I said at the start of the season when I did Scotty Talks NBA preview show, when I did the Athletes Hub preview show, we brought up the fact that it was scheduled. And I said then, no, there is no need. We just talked about how it's not as exciting as it used to be, whatever. In the current format of the world that we live in, there's no need to get guys from all different teams in the same locker room together. Even if they're not doing all the, well, they say they're not doing all the other side, things, the clubbing and the appearances around All-Star Game weekend, which those players get paid to appear at clubs and stuff like that all over All-Star Game weekend. It's a big deal and all.
Huge deal.
They say they're not doing it. Who knows if they are or not? But you're putting so many teams at risk just to make TNT happy and that check to be able to be cashed.
And the thing is, LeBron James said a couple of months ago, we should not be doing this. Our season got extended because of the bubble situation. So we had a shorter offseason. You have no fans in the stands. We have not had a serious amount of rest because it was like a month off and then they were right back into it. So they were already training. There was no reason to play this game. And then sure enough, and we're going to show later between the injuries and the COVID removals, that some of the biggest stars aren't playing. That's why it's not the all-star game. It's the some star game.
I mean, if you look at it, the Simmons and Embiid thing, and I know a lot of people jumped at it was all because of All-Star Weekend. It wasn't. It was their barber here, at home, which everyone wanted Simmons and Embiid to be, buddy. Now they're actually hanging out together, living together at parts in time. And now all of a sudden everybody hates that because now they're hanging out together and they're both exposed. So it wasn't that. But the fact that you brought them, so everyone thought it was the NBA ruining the Sixers season.
Nope.
It happened in the Sixers, world.
It happened in Philadelphia.
Now the NBA risked. Who else has Joel and Ben seen this weekend. Now they're saying nobody, but let's be honest for a second. If all the players are staying at the same general area or same hotels, they're hanging out. There's no doubt that Joel Embiid came in contact with somebody else on another roster. And if they didn't catch this positive test in time, who knows how many other guys.
All of the stars of the NBA.
The entire NBA star would be gone for weeks. It's
and that's the thing. So now we're all right. So we agree they should not be playing this game. Like Adam's saying, they should have done it virtually, like the Pro Bowl.
Which, by the way, when LeBron stepped up and said we shouldn't do it, how did the NBA not take their biggest star, one of their two biggest stars of all time, take that to heart and just do and change it? Because normally when LeBron speaks,
people listen.
And I don't know why. I mean, that money must be really big from TNT for today.
It has to be. And look, I get it. This is kind of their focus, but the NFL did it virtually. The NHL is doing something virtually. I'm not sure if they're doing an actual all-star game or not. Baseball, I'm sure they'll do the whole thing because it's summer and, they're bringing as many people back into the stands as they can. But the NBA had an opportunity here to just, I don't know, throw together a 2K tournament. All the players play 2K. You didn't want to do a player-led 2K tournament. I mean,
They set the standard last year with the bubble. And the bubble worked flawlessly last year.
Perfectly.
There was some, you could debate, who got to go into the bubble, what teams, and they were trying to get Zion into the playoffs. So you could debate all that. But the bubble set the standard. And it made it made baseball look silly for the way baseball did it without the bubble. So, they set these standards, and then all of a sudden this year it's let's just have a free for all.
So I mean we're on the agreement. They shouldn't be playing this game at all, but they are, which as a podcaster, it's great because we have something to talk about. So thanks, NBA. I'm glad you're looking out for us.
Gives me something to do on a Sunday afternoon other than watching the Arnold Palmer Invitational on the back of the screen right now.
Well, there you go. All right, so then let's get right into it because when we reach the All-Star break, we've done the first half of the NBA season. So the first half of the season recap. We're going to talk about the East. We're going to talk about the West, all your award winners, but just your general thoughts, Phil. How do you think the season has gone?
I mean, I personally think the season has gone, in my opinion, pretty predictable for the most part. I mean, I know the Lakers aren't in first in the conference right now, but they've been missing Anthony Davis, which is a huge piece. I said it before the season. I said the Jazz and the Nuggets. The Jazz mostly, though. They're a regular season team. They're going to succeed and then struggle. That's gone, according to plan. The Sixers, Nets, Bucks are the top of the East, just like I predicted and everything. I mean, it's as predictable as can be. I mean, minus a couple little, couple performances that, have gone a little differently. But for the most part, the top of the league has played out exactly as I expected.
Right. So, all right, looking at the East, right, the top three teams are the Sixers, Nets, and Bucks. I don't think there are any surprises. I mean, maybe you can go with ordering.
Yeah. But they're two games separating the first and the third seed. So they're all neck and neck, amongst each other.
One of my biggest surprises is actually in the fourth spot, or the fourth or fifth spot. I forget where they ended up at this, but it's the Knicks.
Yeah,
the Knicks are in competition
right now.
They were the fourth on Monday when I did my show. So now they're in the fifth. I mean, the Knicks are a playoff team as of right now. If the season were to end today, that's a surprise to me. I don't know if they're going to hold on to it or not, but it's definitely a surprise that they are there because.
Well, first off, they're a surprise that they're there to an extent, but they're also not. I'm a big Julius Randle fan. They brought in Derrick Rose. I expected them to maybe make the playoffs, maybe not the 5 seed. And you got to look at that 5 seed with a grain of salt where they're at now. Miami was 7-14 because they went through that COVID loss. Since then, they're 11 and 11.
So they're trending.
So they're trending up. They're going to knock the Knicks down. The Raptors are starting to play a little bit better basketball. They're going to knock them down. The Pacers, they got rid of Oladipo. They're still a well-coached team. Maybe they make a push up there. If anything in the East, the team that's the biggest disappointment is the Hawks to most people. Most people thought the Hawks were playoff contenders, 4 or 5. I said no. I said the Hawks, they spent their money on players you can't trust, like Dario Gallinari, who's never healthy. Trae Young hasn't shown, and John Collins hasn't shown that they can win successfully, consistently yet. So I'm not surprised, but a lot of people are probably surprised at where the Hawks are in the standings right now, which are 11, 16, and 20.
Right, and with a team that's built like that, they really need certain players to succeed overwhelmingly. And Trae Young's just not having a fantastic season.
He stepped back big time this year.
You needed him to be a superstar, and he's not there, as evidenced by he's not playing today.
There's a lot of stars in this league that are young. Trae Young, one of them. That this was the year to see him, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell. Do they take that next step from being a star to being a superstar? And unless they do that, those teams weren't going to have major success this year.
Right. All right. So Sixers are the 1 seed. Can they hold it? And second part question, because now that Blake Griffin is a free agent, the expectation is that he is going to be signing with the Nets.
That's good. Fine. Let him go to the Nets.
All right. So can the Sixers hold the 1 seed if Blake Griffin joins the Nets super team?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it actually helps the Sixers hold the 1 seed.
I agree. There's still one basketball.
Blake's done, in my opinion. I think his career, his knees, he's turned into a Kevin Love type player, a stretch 4, but yet he doesn't actually shoot at a high percentage.
Right.
So Blake Griffin does nothing for me on any team, honestly. I don't think he was a great player, especially early in his career, but he just isn't anymore. We're going to see if the Sixers can hold the 1 seed. They only got a half game lead over the Nets right now. And if Embiid or Simmons has to miss an extended period of time because of COVID, they're going to fall down that leaderboard real fast.
And the Sixers need to make a move, right? So Don put some things up here. Griffin, the only reason why I would want to see Griffin on the Sixers is as because Joel Embiid does miss so much time. He's a viable option as a solid bench player and a occasional starter. So that's fine. PJ Tucker, I like that move. George Hill, I could do without. The Zach LaVine talk is heating up a little bit. I mean, the Sixers need to make a move, but until they make that move, I don't know whether or not they can hold that 1 seed. You know what I mean?
I mean, again, you got to look at their record with all 3 of their big stars playing together. What is it? 16-4, 17-4. When Toby, Ben, and Joel all play, they're unstoppable. So I don't think you need major changes to the roster for them to hold that 1 seed. They absolutely have to improve their bench. There's no doubt about it. Who's on their bench it's just not cutting. It's not right now. But on the flip side of the equation, as long as everybody else is healthy, the bench is doing just enough to keep them in that 1 seed right now. It's just when one of your stars go down and then that changes your bench, obviously it changes everything. It shows your lack of depth. The fact that people like Korkmaz and Mike Scott have to play the minutes they do right now on that bench just shows how weak the bench is right now.
And that's what you're seeing a lot out of the Nets, where their starters are super loaded, but they have in my opinion, one of the weakest benches in the entire NBA. So when you have Durant missing games, or you have Irving missing games, or you have Harden missing games, or a combination of the two, they're not going to win those games. So that's why when you look at a 7-game series with the Nets, I'm not necessarily worried about the Nets. Now the Blake Griffin thing, that I think Blake Griffin to the Nets does put them in the 1 over the Sixers. Just because, again, there's 1 basketball, but you're not signing Blake Griffin to contribute 25 points a game. You're sending him in there to go rebound.
But he doesn't even do that. He hangs out. He hangs out on the 3-point line for the most part. So, sorry, you're bringing him up real quick. I'm trying to, find his stats real quick here.
I think he was averaging 12 points a game.
But that's meaningless to me. It's the fact that he's shooting 36% from the field, 31% from 3-point land. He's only averaging 5 assists a game in 5 rebounds a game in 31 minutes per game. So he's not playing well. Last year, in his short stretch he played last year, he only shot 24% from 3, 35% from the field. Right. He hasn't had a good year shooting the ball for a long time. So rebounding, I don't even think he's that great of a rebounder anymore, honestly.
So, I mean, again, I think the Sixers have the ability to hold it. I think the Bucks are a very, very considerable threat.
I think so.
If Giannis can step up to, again, we were talking before, that superstar. He's kind of having a down year a little bit. even with him having a down year, they're holding the 3rd seed right now. So I think the Sixers, Nets, and Bucks in the top 3. There's no surprises there.
I would be more scared of I would be more scared of the Bucks than I would be of the Nets at this point. Not necessarily in the playoffs, but at this point, taking that one spot, because I don't know their record, but if they have a favorable record, they can go on a run. And Drew Holiday hasn't played well yet. Middleton hasn't played well either this year. So those guys turn it around really fast. They can go on a really, really hot run really quickly.
Absolutely. Now moving over to the West, I think there is a surprise right at the top. The Jazz are the number 1 seed right now, followed by the Suns and then the Lakers. It's Jazz, Suns, and Lakers. Thoughts on that?
Well, again, I said the Jazz were one of my 1 or 2 seed favorites this year in the NBA for the regular season. I don't think they're built for the playoffs at all. The Suns, I'm a little surprised the Suns are as high as they are right now. But again, everyone told me Chris Paul is so good. Chris Paul going to the Suns, I mean, he's making a difference. His leadership, his stat line might not show it and all. But for the most part, the only real surprise is the fact that the Warriors haven't really, taken any step towards returning to their form, because Steph Curry's there. They're still got some talent on that team without Klay Thompson. So honestly, maybe the order of the top 4 isn't where I thought it would be. But again, I think it's playing out pretty predictable, because I think that order would be different if AD was there. I think the Lakers would be in that 2 seed if AD had not missed all this time.
Right, and that's what Richard's alluded to here. He's saying that the Lakers will not be in the finals this season. I'm going to be very, very clear. If Anthony Davis does not come back at 100%, the Lakers do not make the finals. They do.
I could buy that, but I can also
LeBron
say that Jazz are still not making the finals.
Right. I think the Clippers have a better chance of making the finals than a Anthony Davis less Lakers team. I think LeBron James is LeBron James, but again, to ask him to carry a team entirely at this point isn't reasonable. Ask him to carry a team at any point that isn't in Cleveland is unreasonable. So I think if Anthony Davis doesn't come back healthy, the Lakers are not going to be repeating anything.
I can buy it. If Anthony Davis comes back, I don't care if they're the 3 seed, the 4 seed, the 5 seed. If Anthony Davis comes back at 100%, in my mind, they're 100% the favorite immediately.
Yeah, because those two are, 2 of the best players in the NBA point blank, and they play well together. So then let's get into this. First half of the season is done. Oh, there's a lot of talk about the MVP award. So let's have our midseason award show. MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to go out of order.
Okay.
We're going to start Defensive Player of the Year because I think we agree on this one.
Okay.
Who's your Defensive Player of the Year?
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
And you're agreeing with that. So I'm gonna bring a different aspect. I know you're not a gambler, okay?
Okay.
But I have the betting lines and the odds for all these awards at this moment up on the screen, okay?
I was hoping you do that. I didn't tell you to do it, but I love it.
Of course. I love my betting and all. So
good. Tell me.
I have Ben Simmons to win Rookie of the Year, or to win Defensive Player of the Year. He might win Rookie of the Year again too. You never know.
He's what, 8th year?
He's the second favorite. Rudy Gobert right now is the favorite to win the award.
Still.
He's minus 210, which means you got to bet $210 to win $100 for Rudy Gobert. Ben Simmons is plus 260, which means you got to bet $100 to win 260. But at the start of the year, Ben Simmons was weighted. I got Ben Simmons. I forget the exact number. I think I got Ben Simmons at plus 1,400. So for every $100 I bet, I was going to win $1,400. So that's how Ben Simmons has taken a huge jump in the Defensive Player of the Year rankings. What's surprising to me is that 4th on this list is Joel Embiid also. So when we get to who's going to win. So right now the rankings in order is Rudy Gobert, Ben Simmons, Miles Turner, Joel Embiid. They're your top 4 that you could place odds-wise bets on for Defensive Player of the Year.
I don't think Miles Turner should be in the competition, in the conversation.
I mean, he's a good defensive player. He's not having a great season.
He is a good defensive player, but he is not a dominant defensive player. Ben Simmons is a dominant defensive player. You look at the shooting percentages of most players when guarded by Ben Simmons, they are 10 to 20 percentage points lower than their average. Ben Simmons is a dominant NBA defender.
And what's really funny about the awards and how I don't know how to describe this exactly. I'll explain it to you in a betting way. You tell me what it means about defense. So when you're looking at odds, and when we get to like the MVP odds, like you'll see that. So you got Rudy Gobert at 1, Ben Simmons 2. Then you have Anthony Davis 5 and Giannis at 6, and they're all pretty close together in the odds. So out of the top 6, Giannis is plus 1,400, 14 to 1 on your money. The next person, number 7 in the voting, in the betting part of it, is Draymond Green. He's plus 4,900. So there's nobody even remote. That the difference between plus 1,400 and plus 4,900 is an astronomical, in the betting sense, distance there. So is the defense in the NBA that bad? I mean, Kawhi Leonard, who's considered a great defensive player, is plus 6,500. So what to me it tells me is the people that set these lines are really confident Rudy or Ben are going to win this because nobody else is even remotely close in the odds.
And I agree that it will be one of those two. And it's interesting to me that the two are both members of the number 1 teams in their respective conferences at this point. Rudy Gobert he's an impressive defender, but the way Ben Simmons can play every single position on the court and defend every position on the court is why, to me, Ben Simmons gets the nod over Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% on that. But am I right in saying that? What does that difference in the lines, in the betting?
It says that this is an offensive league.
Yeah,
it is an offensive league.
When we get into the next, category, I guarantee there's more people bunched there. There's going to be someone at plus 20 or 2,000 or plus 2,400 or whatever. There is nobody from plus 1,400 to plus 4,900 in Defensive Player of the Year voting as of this moment. I mean, it's crazy. It's insane to me.
Well, and you look at a team, and so I'm going to kind of tie it back into the actual basketball side of things, is you look at a team like the Nets, right? The Nets are the number 2 team in the East right now. Cheers, Richard.
My drink's almost empty. Is it frowned upon to leave the show in the middle to go fill my drink up?
No, I'll be able to do stuff. Do what you got to do. You said you had a smorgasbord of things. But no, so you look at a team like the Nets, right? The Nets are the number 2 team in the East, but their points per game allowed is insanely high. So they don't care that they're a bad defensive team because they know that they're on most nights going to outscore you. This is no longer a defensive league where a team expects to win games because they held their opponent to 85, 95 points. If you give up 147, you're still in it.
Yeah.
So I think Defensive Player of the Year it's nice to win. It's nice to have, but nobody cares.
I do think there are a few players, Ben Simmons being one of them, that really does care. I think actually, what's your point or thought process on the fact that Ben and Joel both being such favorites to win the award takes away from the other person? And that's why Rudy Gobert is still the favorite to win the award.
I'm going to agree with that. So part of my logic when, looking at these awards, and kind of always has been, is can your team, so looking at the MVP specifically, can your team win on a nightly basis without that player? Right? That's why I understand, LeBron winning as much as he does, because no LeBron, your team typically loses. Why Giannis wins? No Giannis, your team typically loses. Defensive Player of the Year, having both of them in there, it's not the same thing. However, Rudy Gobert being the only one from the Jazz in that line is saying that without him as playing defense, the team doesn't play good defense. Whereas the Sixers play pretty good team defense, and it just depends nightly who's having more success.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Coach of the Year.
Okay. Well, I can't give you odds on that because there's no betting on Coach of the Year. At least on FanDuel where I do all my betting and all. Mm-hmm. It's tough where to really. I mean, I don't want to sound like a homer and think that Doc Rivers is the Coach of the Year, but I think he needs at least to be in the discussion because if you look at this team compared to last year, yes, you've got Danny Green and you got Seth Curry, but the core of this team is pretty much the same. And so many of the games down in crunch time last year that we would have lost because of Brett Brown's coaching, to see how they hold leads or they make the comebacks and don't let the games get out of hand. He's really changed Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid's game to different levels. And, of course, Tobias Harris, who should be in the All-Star game today.
We're going to talk about for sure.
We'll get into that. I mean, he's getting the max out of his players right now. At least that's my opinion. I don't want to sound homerish, but
no,
I really think what he has done with this team is amazing.
So I have the list of the NBA coaches right now and their current records. So looking at this, yes, I can immediately think Doc Rivers. But like you said, it's not that he had to groom this team to get them to where they were. They were already a playoff team. They were already doing what they needed to do. It's just that now is the time where they're all in their prime. They're all now finally clicking on the cylinders. The expectations are there. So the coaching, you can say, yes, it's better than Brett Brown coaching. But I don't know if that gets you a Coach of the Year award.
Okay.
I think that just keeps you in the NBA. So then you look at some of the other people, right? Look at the other top teams. You can't give it to Frank Vogel of the Lakers because it's LeBron's coaching the team, and Frank Vogel just occasionally sends out water bottles. I go Monty Williams right now of the Suns.
Yeah, I left that for you. I knew you'd do that. That would be probably my second choice right there.
I go Monty Williams of the Suns because yes, he had Booker, and yes, they brought in Paul, but this is still not a team that was supposed to be doing those things. You look at the other ones with winning records. Steve Nash of the Nets, again, they're giving him everything that he needs. He doesn't really need to even be there. You might go Mike Malone of the Nuggets. Maybe they're 21-15. That's still pretty close as of right now. I don't think.
But why Mike Malone would be an absolute no for me because after the bubble last year, after the playoff run last year, everyone expected Jamal Murray and company to take that next step forward. Have they taken that next step forward?
No.
So Mike Malone's instantly out. The only one that you've named so far would be Monty Williams.
I'm going to go Monty Williams as my Coach of the Year right now. Maybe Quinn Snyder with the Jazz. But again, some of these players were already there, and now they're starting to click together. So if you're talking about doing a coaching job, I'm going Monty Williams as my Coach of the Year as of the All-Star break.
I could buy that.
Rookie of the Year.
All right, that I could tell you about odds on.
Give me some odds.
All right. Well, I mean, can you guess on who the favorite at this moment?
LaMelo Ball.
He was not the favorite to begin the year. He was the second favorite to win the year, or second or third. To begin the year, it was a combination of LaMelo, Anthony Edwards, and James Wiseman. Wiseman's fallen down to fifth, but right now, LaMelo Ball is more favored to win Rookie of the Year than Rudy Gobert to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's at minus 550, which means you got to bet $550 to win $100.
Okay.
So it's a really, really strong favorite, if you want to call it that. Anthony Edwards he's third. James Wiseman's fallen all the way down
second?
to fifth. He's now fifth in the voting
who's
the odds. The second, let me get back. Keep going back and forth here. Tyrese Halliburton.
Sorry, I think a lot of my players through their use on my NBA 2K game. I'm like, I liked it when I use him. He's pretty solid.
Who has jumped up into the seventh spot for Rookie of the Year on the betting lines. I mean, his odds are pretty long.
Astronomical.
85 plus 8,500, so 85 to 1. Tyrese Maxey is now the seventh favorite to win Rookie of the Year right now. And
he's good. However, you're talking about, and I think Mike brings up a great point here. LaMelo's starting. He's going to win it. LaMelo is going to win.
Get you Rookie of the Year. One, if you're starting. Two, if you're on an awful team and they're just letting you develop, so you're putting up shots, even if you're coming off the bench. If the scoring wins, it's the same thing with Defensive Player of the Year that nobody cares about it. Ball is playing every game. He's starting. He's putting up shots. But even if he was just on a really bad team, they'd just be trying to develop their rookie, so he'd be getting the stats. I always say every bad team has a leading scorer. So. If you're on a bad team, your rookie's going to be your leading scorer most of the time. So I buy that. I don't think it's any question that he wins Rookie of the Year. He would have to get hurt tomorrow and not be able to play the rest of the year. Otherwise, he's winning the award.
Now, I agree with Richard here. I can't stand the Ball family.
No.
But LaMelo himself, you also look at his assist numbers. He is doing a great job as far as being the facilitator of the ball. So I don't see a way that LaMelo Ball doesn't win Rookie of the Year personally.
We got Mike checking in on Halliburton. He said he would get much more recognition if he wasn't behind Fox and Hield, and that's very true. It's a very
100%. and on a team that's 14-22 right now. So
Exactly.
it makes sense. All right, the one that we all know we need to talk about, MVP of the first half of the season.
Well, again, I don't want to sound homerish, but Joel Embiid is the MVP.
So they're sweeping the awards except for Rookie of the Year to you.
I'm sorry?
They're sweeping the awards except for Rookie of the Year right now.
Will they? I don't know.
No.
I would personally vote yes, that they should be sweeping the awards. I mean, you look at it, Embiid is the favorite right now, betting favorite. He's plus 190. You bet 100 to win 190. LeBron is still second favorite at plus 260. Jokic 480. Curry's fourth. Giannis is fifth.
Mm-hmm.
Harden is actually sixth. And Harden, in my opinion, is a sleeper candidate to watch in the second half because he is in the MVP race conversation. I'm not saying the Nets or the team, but since he's gone to the Nets, he's transformed his game drastically, in my opinion.
So that to me goes back to my point that I was making of, does the team win without you on the team?
Mm-hmm.
If Harden should not be in the competition for MVP because Kevin Durant, when healthy, is one of the top players in the NBA. Kyrie Irving, when healthy, is one of the top players in the NBA. So them having the three of them, not one of those three should be in the competition.
All right.
Because
So but hold on. Let me counter that, okay? Because they're saying James Harden is the sixth favorite to win MVP at plus 1,800, okay?
Sure.
Durant is the 10th favorite. He's that far down the list at plus 2,500. And Kyrie Irving, hold on, I got to do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 6 rows of tape. Kyrie Irving is the 19th favorite at plus 13,000. So what that is telling me is that the people that make these lines feels that James Harden is the reason for the Nets' current success, not the other two. And that's telling me also that if you take James Harden off that team, that they're not as good of a team. So
they're not as good of a team, but they're still going to win games. That's my barometer. Is your team still going to be consistently as good as they are? I don't know, but they're hopefully wearing masks. Hopefully they're wearing masks.
As long as they're wearing masks, I don't really care.
I don't care what they wear. So that they're like, all right. So for me, it's between two people. It's Embiid and it's LeBron.
Yeah.
Right. It's between Embiid and LeBron. So as of March 7th at 4:09, LeBron James is winning the MVP award again. Now, it's for one very simple reason. Joel Embiid does not play enough on the court to win the MVP award. When he is on the court, he is insanely dominant. However, he misses too many games.
I agree with you on that.
I like Mike's point here. Some argue AD is more important. I agree. But with him not playing, and LeBron still has them in the third position because LeBron is a dominant player.
I'm trying to come up with a question in my mind, and I'm struggling to put it into words here.
Okay.
So, all right, LeBron, you just said LeBron has got them with AD out all this time.
Yes.
In the third spot. So, say AD does not play or he doesn't come back till the very end of the season, where in the standings does LeBron have to keep the Lakers in comparison to Joel having to keep the? So say the Sixers finish with the 1 seed.
Yep.
Embiid misses minimal games.
Minimal. Okay.
LeBron has to get the Lakers without AD in the 3rd seat, the 4th seat, the 2 seat. Where do you get what I'm trying to ask you?
I do. So
where do you have to have them finish in their respective conferences for one to win it over the other?
So the Sixers, for Embiid to win it, needs to, like you said, miss minimal games. That's an absolute must. The Sixers also have to finish with the number 1 seed.
So no matter where LeBron finishes, if they finish in the 2 seed, Embiid only misses 2 or 3 more games the rest of the year, it doesn't matter. He's not winning it.
Correct.
Okay.
Because if LeBron can keep them at 4 or above, he's got the name over Embiid still.
Okay. All right.
That's just my opinion. Again, I want Joel Embiid to win, and when he's on the court, he has been absolutely filthy, disgusting, dominant this year. But he misses too much time. And I, in good conscience, as a fan, can't be like, oh, well, if LeBron's playing every single night or almost every single night, and Joel Embiid misses every 3rd game, that's saying something. Now, I will also say is that I am totally cool with Joel Embiid not winning the MVP if it means us winning a title.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'd rather them rest him. I'd rather them sit him. I'd rather them load management him because in the playoffs, he will be fresh and he will be dominant.
See, on my question, I actually think that whether Embiid finish or the Sixers finish 1 or 2, it doesn't matter for Embiid. I think LeBron, for him to win the MVP this year, especially with AD not playing, he needs to get the Lakers to that 2 seed. I think 3 or 4.
Okay.
People say, well, he didn't really do enough. If he was so dominant, he would have gotten them up to the next level. I actually think he needs to do more than he does to win the award this year.
So
there's other guys that are in this.
I was going to ask that.
7. I mean, Embiid is 1. The original favorite to begin the year, Luka Doncic, was the betting favorite to win it. He's at 7 right now. I don't think he's going to win it. But Steph Curry, the 4th-ranked player right now at plus 1,200, I think if he somehow, because he's playing great basketball, they're just not in the playoffs right now. If he somehow gets the Warriors to the 6th or 7th seed in the Western Conference, that means he has an insane second half of the season on top of the great season he's already had. I think he gets into the conversation for MVP as well. And then also in these lines here, if you're looking at it, I mean, my favorite player, Damian Lillard, right now, the Blazers are the 5th seed right now. If he can get them up into the top 3, he's somebody. I mean, he's keeping that team alive. And hasn't CJ McCollum missed like a huge portion of the season?
Yeah.
So I think he's doing more with less in Portland right now. So I think right now in my mind, it's Joel Embiid, it's LeBron. But the 2 names to watch in the second half of the season, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard.
Okay. All right. So then shifting into what today is all about then. We have an all-star game and all-star things happening. So again, the schedule is at 6:30. There's going to be a 3-point competition. There's going to be a skills challenge. At 8 o'clock, there's going to be a game. And at halftime of the game, there's going to be a slam dunk contest. So my first question to you, and just give me your one name who was snubbed by not being an NBA All-Star this year.
I mean, that's pretty obvious, isn't it?
It is very obvious. It's a softball for you.
I've been talking about Tobias Harris for 2-3 years now. I mean, Tobias Harris, I think, is the most snubbed NBA player, period.
Yes.
Okay? I wrote, when I first started doing things, I was writing only. I was writing for other sites before All About the Birds started. And I wrote about how Tobias Harris is the Chris Bosh of the Sixers. He is just as important to this team and their success as the other stars, just like Chris Bosh was. You take Chris Bosh away from those Heat teams, they might not win 2 titles. I think Tobias Harris is the most disrespected, to an extent, borderline star, if you want to call him that, in the NBA.
So I'm going to go a different way.
We have to, because I took the softball.
Say again.
I said you have to, because I took the
I have to, because that's what the point of this exercise was.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to go DeMar DeRozan from the Spurs. Dude is averaging 20 points a game. He has his team, again, not a very good Spurs team, but he's got his team right now in the 7th seed. I think DeMar DeRozan just kind of historically has kind of gotten ignored. And it's very surprising because he's a very, very good basketball player.
So, I mean, Spurs are playing really good basketball. They're probably one of my bigger surprises. I did not think they'd be as positive on a record level as they are at this point. And it has a lot to do with DeMar DeRozan, for sure.
Right. So, again, I agree Tobias Harris should have been an all-star. I don't understand how a first-place team doesn't get at least 3. And now, 0. Again, breaking news from today that none of our all-stars are playing. So, woohoo, big day in Philadelphia.
I have no reason to watch the game now.
No reason to watch the game. But, again, I think Tobias Harris should have been on the all-star team. So,
a lot of these players don't care about playing in the All-Star or Pro Bowl or whatever. They want the notoriety that they get, picked. That's all they care about. So taking that away from him, it could also have something to do with his contract. There's financial aspects of it. They just want that recognition. And the fact that he's not getting the recognition, I think it's a slap in the face. And I hope he has a huge ass chip on his shoulder right now.
I agree. And, I think it's interesting I see what you did there. I agree. And the fact that Doc Rivers is now coaching nobody from his squad in the All-Star game. I mean, if I'm Doc, I'm
Kevin
done.
Durant out there for 48 minutes tonight.
Oh, I'm glad you're getting it. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about this, right? So the first event is the Rising Stars Challenge. They are not playing this game, right? So every year they do the rookies versus the second-year players. It's the Rising Star Challenge.
Which I actually love this game.
I love this game. I love this game because you get to see that next generation, who's going to take the next step. And if you look at this roster, right, Team USA was going to obliterate the world team. You know,
there's also a glaring omission from this.
Is it Mr. Maxey?
No. I mean, I guess you put Mr. Maxey on there. I think Matisse should be in this game. He was snubbed last year, and he's snubbed again this year. His defensive prowess should earn him the nod as a second-year player to be in here.
Give me the name.
I'm sorry?
Give me the name.
Oh, I said it already.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, Matisse.
Oh, yeah, Matisse Thybulle. Absolutely.
He absolutely should. I mean, he's literally, if you do it per 36, leading the league in steals and deflections. The guy is a defensive genius out there. Yeah, he gets some stupid penalties or fouls called him sometimes. You know, the reach in he's still working on. But there's no reason for him to not be a part of this game.
But he's not a big scorer. That's why. He's not a big scorer. And you look at most of these players, right? Ball with the assist. Anthony Edwards was always going to be in this game. Halliburton in his defense. Harrow is a three-point monster. John Moran is insane. Michael Porter Jr., huge. Zion Williamson is going to be every single – I mean, you look at this game, this would have been a fantastic game for the Team USA. Team USA would have absolutely slapped the heck. But they said, you know what? We're not going to play this game.
I took care of
it. I would rather have watched this game than the NBA All-Star game because at least these kids have something to prove. You know what I mean? At least these kids have something to prove. And yeah, the league wants offense. Defense doesn't attract people. So Thybulle not making this game makes sense to me.
It doesn't. It's, again, just like with Tobias Harris, it's a slap in the face and disrespectful. These players want that recognition. He's not just one of the best defensive rookies or young guys in this league. He is one of the best defensive players in the NBA, period. Point blank. Right. And he's only playing, 18 minutes a game. So I think it's a big slap in the face, in my opinion.
I agree.
He's not a part of this group.
So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because I would like to get into the skills competition. Now, my question, Mr. Gambling Man, are there odds on this?
I got them up on the screen. I already switched over to them.
Love it. All right, so first comes these at the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. And we have Robert Covington, Luka Doncic, Chris Paul, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, and Nikolai Vucevic.
How can you not say Vucevic's name?
I like to mess with it. It's the
easiest one of all of them to say.
I just like to do it. Oh. So give me the odds right now. Who is winning according?
Chris Paul is the favorite at plus 240. Sure. Luka Doncic is a really close second at plus 280. Then you got Randall, Vucevic, Sabonis, and Covington in that order to win this event.
Okay, so that's what Vegas.
And I could have pretty much called that pretty easily that was the way it was going to go. It was borderline whether I thought Paul or Doncic would be the favorite, but it's pretty close to where I expected the odds to be.
So when you look at this, you have to dribble, you have to do a layup, you have to hit a three-pointer, you have to pass accurately. Those are the big portions of this competition. Who wins this in your mind?
I mean, if he makes the three-point shot, I would go Chris Paul, the favorite. I think he's the best chance. Otherwise, I would say, I mean, I don't mind Robert Covington having a little breakout come out, winning an event like this, because, again, it comes down to the shooting. He's one of the streakiest shooters in the NBA. We know that from his time here. But, a guy like him really has a good shot at winning it. I don't buy the fact that when the big guys are in it, I don't think they really have as much of a chance. But it's probably Chris Paul. I would love to see Robert Covington win it, though.
The bottom row has no business being in this competition. This is a point guard, shooting guard competition.
Yeah.
Julius Randle is a power forward that I don't want him touching a basketball unless he's 4 feet from the hoop. Sabonis, great shooter. Nikola, good shooter, but they don't belong in this competition.
No.
I think Luka. Yeah, I think Luka wins this because you look at the way he plays and you look at the size and you look at just the European style where it's so skill-based. I think Luka wins this.
I just think if it comes down to the Chris Paul versus Luka Doncic,
which it will,
side by side for the title, the one thing that Chris Paul has over Luka, he's a little quicker. And
Yeah,
he can run. And Luka,
he
Luka
plays.
looks like he's running with 100-pound weights in his shoes all the time. I mean, he still gets to the basket somehow, and he still, is an amazing basketball player. But somehow it feels like he's moving slower than like he's the I don't know. I don't get how he is so successful with how slow he is.
What I like about this event is somebody like Chris Paul, who has been in the league as long as he has, he still wants to compete in this event.
Yeah.
Because this is an event created for point guards.
Absolutely.
So I think, Chris Paul and Luka, I think are your 1 and 2. And as you said, they're interchangeable. I think Luka has the better chance of winning it just based off of shooting ability.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an event designed for Chris Paul.
Absolutely. Agree with you 100%.
Now, what I will say is the 3-point contest is loaded this year. And you notice I had to make a slight edit to the original graphic. So as you see by the very official look here, Devin Booker will not be competing in the 3-point contest. Mike Conley will be replacing Devin Booker. I look at this group of 6, and you're talking about the best competition here out of the whole night. And Jay chiming in. Jay was ready with it. He was ready to go with it. Right? All right, who's clicking?
You
I'm clicking it. Jay is saying that Curry is 100% winning that. Phil, what does Vegas say?
He is the clear. Whereas in the skills competition, that Paul and Doncic were close on the odds. Stephen Curry is plus 115. The next closest is Zach LaVine at plus 410. So that's a pretty decent sized gap between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steph Curry should be the favorite to win it. He is the favorite to win it. But I'm just going to throw a curveball and say that he has excelled on All-Star Game weekend before in the dunk contest. Zach LaVine, he's a guy that I'm looking at. If anybody, I actually think, I don't know what the odds were before this.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Booker would have been my favorite to win this event.
Agreed.
I don't know where he was. Steph Curry was still probably the favorite. Those numbers changed once he got pulled from the event. But Zach LaVine would be not my sleeper per se, but my choice because he loves All-Star Game weekend.
Your non-Steph Curry pick.
I'm sorry? Yeah, my non-Steph Curry pick, yeah.
So for me, it's I look at this and I go, okay, interesting. And I love this idea. I love this idea.
See, there's an idea to create excitement for All-Star Game weekend. Right there. Done. That's simple.
And I think if you look at all these guys were NBA All-Stars. So with the COVID situation, they were like, okay, out of the 16 people that are here, which 6 of you want to shoot 3-pointers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a warm-up, because remember, it's pregame. So I look at this. Steph Curry is arguably the best 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA.
Except his brother has better numbers than him.
I know, but Steph Curry has done it in the bigger scenes and led more. Whereas Seth is a role player. Stephen is different. Now,
I'm just trying to stir up trouble there.
I love it. So here's my thing, and I don't know this. I didn't do my due diligence. With Zach LaVine competing in this, has there ever been an NBA player that has won both the 3-point contest and the slam dunk contest?
I have no idea. Hopefully one of our listeners can jump on that Google train right there.
Yeah.
Really quickly on that.
Has there ever
let's
been?
Think about it. Did Kyle Korver ever win the slam dunk contest?
I think he was close once. I don't think
Larry Bird ever won it. I'm not really sure the answer to that question. Jay, you're checking in. You're saying good question. Get Uncle Google on that one for me here real quick.
Because again, I would like to see Zach LaVine, future 76ers Zach LaVine, winning the award and going into it hot. Spud Webb definitely was a dunk champion. I do not believe he was a 3-point champion.
Yeah, I don't think he was. No. No.
I think Steph Curry wins this pretty easily. If I'm going to go upset, I would say Mike Conley is only because something to prove, felt snubbed to begin with, now wants to show why he's there on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my thing. It would be Steph Curry is going to win, Mike Conley with the potential upset. Okay.
As long as it's not Donovan Mitchell, I don't really care.
Yeah, and his whining. All right. The dunk contest, which is my favorite event of All-Star Weekend, is being held at halftime. At halftime of the NBA All-Star Game. Our competitors this year are Cassius Stanley from the Pacers. Sure. Obi Toppin from the Knicks. Sure. And Anthony Simons from the Trailblazers. Sure. One of the biggest problems with the slam dunk contest is that there's no big names anymore. And Jay's chiming right in with no Zion. Yeah, Zion Williamson would have been a fantastic addition to this. I'm glad, though, that he's not, because a lot of the times what we have seen with the slam dunk contest is whoever the biggest name is, they just give you the scores to win. Mm-hmm. And Zion would have absolutely done that. So out of these three that you know probably little to nothing about, who wins?
I mean, I got to go with the betting favorite, Cassius Stanley, I guess. I mean, minus 145 compared to everyone else being plus 200, plus 350. So when a contest like this, if you're a minus 145, you've got to be a pretty strong favorite. I mean, honestly, I'll be refilling my drink during this part of the game. And I probably won't be paying attention, honestly. No, this will probably be on during Stanley Tucci's tour of Italy on CNN at 9 o'clock. So I'll probably be watching that at 9 o'clock instead. I will not pay attention to the slam dunk contest. It bores the living hell out of me. There's not much more creativeness that can be done in the dunk contest. Pretty much every dunk has been seen and done before. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. You kill the next few moments talking about
the dunks that you want to see are the ones that you see in like street ball competitions. So no one is doing that because in order to get to the NBA contest, you have to be a more well-rounded player. From my perspective, I think Obi Toppin is going to dominate this competition. He is coming out of college, known for his dunking ability, being the player of the year. I think Obi Toppin is going to absolutely become a household name by the time this is done for the people that actually watch this competition.
I hope you're right.
You know, he's a power dunker. He's a finesse dunker. You know, none of these guys are Vince Carter. None of these guys are Dwight Howard. None of these guys are Spud Webb. None of these guys are Andre Iguodala, former champions.
He got snubbed. He didn't win that.
That's right. He didn't win. He got screwed.
Yeah, behind the backboard dunk and all. That should have won it. He should have won that year, 100%.
None of these guys are Aaron Gordon. They're three guys that were like, hey, you're not all-stars. Obi Toppin, you've been injured a large portion of the season. You play for the Knicks. Do you want to come dunk a basketball, which is something you're really good at? Sure, I'll do that. But I think Obi Toppin is the name to watch for all of you friends who are not like Phil and actually would like to watch the NBA dunk contest. All right. Now, Phil, you said a couple minutes ago that you would like Doc Rivers to play Kevin Durant. How many minutes tonight?
48.1.
48.1. Well, I'm so glad you said that because he will not be playing at all.
What?
He's injured and will not be playing tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. All right. Give me Kyrie Irving for 48 minutes.
All right, so what you notice, and again, this is an official All About the Birds chips and dish graphic, which looks like a high school yearbook of names being crossed out because you didn't like them. You see the players as of this minute that will not be playing, but still were all-stars. So off of this list, Ben Simmons will not be playing. Joel Embiid will not be playing. Devin Booker will not be playing. Anthony Davis will not be playing. Kevin Durant, the captain of the team, will not be playing. I want to point out that finishing very close to making this team was Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Who has not played a single game and will not play a single game this season. It's insane that the fans have no clue, but they're just like, I like Klay Thompson. I'm going to vote for him. He's not playing. So your starters for Team LeBron are LeBron, Giannis, Steph Curry, Luka, and Nikola Jokic. For Kevin Durant, your starters are Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum, and Zion Williamson. And Jay, I agree. I wanted to see Ben and Embiid against the best players in the world.
Absolutely agree.
So them not playing is very insulting as a Philadelphia fan because we're the number one team. We're the number one team in the East. We should be having our players play. So looking at these rosters, do you see any clear advantage? Any which way who do you think? And again, we understand that the NBA All-Star game is not a defensive, it is not a tight game until about the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game if it's close. But do you see any clear advantages any which way?
I think, in my opinion, I think Team LeBron has a distinct advantage.
Okay.
I mean, you got LeBron, you got Giannis, you got Damian Lillard, you got Steph Curry, you got Luka, you got some big. I mean, yeah, Team Durant has Harden and Irving, and I'm not trying to slight any of the guys on that team. But when you got guys like Zach LaVine and Donovan Mitchell, Julius Randle, Vucevic, they're really good players.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, they're not even all the time all-star type players.
Right.
Outside of Sabonis and maybe Jaylen Brown, every other player on Team LeBron is a surefire every single year all-star.
Right. Now, the only edge that I would give to Team Durant over Team LeBron, so again, like you said, you look at LeBron's team and you have just dominant players who are all in competition for MVP. So whoever gets the ball is going to score. The only advantage I would say that Team Durant might have is they have players who actually play with one another,
Sure.
right? Durant has Kyrie and James Harden. They also have Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley. So they have players that already play together. I think that if you're looking for an edge to give Durant, knowing where players are going to be and how, where they like to pass, and, that could matter. But Zion Williamson isn't going to dominate this game. Giannis is going to dominate this game. LeBron's going to dominate this game, but then he's going to sit and let some of these guys have some fun. This is not going to be a great all-star game simply because it can't be. It can't be. But I think Team Durant wins it. Does Vegas have any odds on this or no?
I mean, yeah, I was about to close it out. Team LeBron's a 4-point favorite. Over-under's at 317.5. Money line stronger, favorite to Team LeBron. So, yeah, I mean, Vegas is saying Team LeBron's winning this game probably.
Okay.
The other thing I'll say, Team LeBron has multiple top 5 MVP candidates.
Right.
On it. Team Durant's best MVP candidate wasn't even Durant. It was James Harden, who's, what we said, the 6th favorite to win MVP. So there's the top tier players are all on Team LeBron.
Absolutely. But remember, and I always say this when you look at a team like the Nets in general, there's still only one basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's still only one basketball. So having all those alphas on Team LeBron, like when LeBron's on the court, he's going to want the ball. But so's Steph Curry. So's Luka. So's Giannis. It's going to be just James Harden over there just shooting threes the whole day. Who wins the MVP tonight?
I had Ben Simmons win the MVP originally.
Did you really?
I had there's a free roll on DraftKings for the event, and I had my 1.5 time point getter as Ben Simmons, and then they also had a poll or a pool that you could pick different questions and everything and the answers, and there's prize money up. They have it. You go to DraftKings, whatever. I'm not promoting them. They don't pay us. But I had as my pick to win the MVP as Ben Simmons. So now I kind of have to pick somebody else now.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. I'll tell you mine while you decide who you would like.
Oh, I already decided. So
all right, then you go ahead.
It's my favorite NBA player that doesn't play for the Sixers. It's Dame time. He loves the big lights. He doesn't get enough shine on his name being in Portland. He doesn't have those other stars around him. He's going to come out and he's going to shine in a game like this, especially if it's close coming down the wire. It's Dame time all the time. He's the only person in the NBA I cheer for outside of the Sixers on a regular basis.
So again, I'm going with the understanding and belief that Team Durant is going to win this game simply because of my ridiculous they play with one another more than the other team. I think Kyrie Irving wins the MVP award. I think Kyrie, he's just such a smooth player that the kind of spacious all-star game setting works very well with his game.
Absolutely. I will say that, I mean, we picked who we think will win. I would love to see, because again, he's playing on a bad team right now. I would love this to be a Bradley Beal shining star moment. He's stuck on his own accord. He chose to go back to Washington. That's his, his choice. But he's, putting up some astronomical numbers this year, and to do it on the bright lights, everybody's watching. Bradley Beal to go off, would be fun to watch.
So I was just what Jay just put up. I was going to share, right? If I'm going back to my 3-point pick or your extra 3-point pick, right? I would be curious to know if any NBA player has ever won the dunk contest and the 3-point contest and the NBA All-Star MVP award in a career. In which case, Zach LaVine's doing it tonight and then joining the Sixers next week. I'm speaking it into existence. Any final thoughts on a game that I know you're super excited for?
I'm super excited because it's the 4th episode of Stanley Tucci Searching for Italy at 9 o'clock. My new favorite cooking and travel show on TV. And I will be watching the All-Star game, but at 9 o'clock, I'll be putting that on. And then I'll go back to the end of the All-Star game. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna close the show, not with that, but, you know, I talked about it last year. I started bringing it up on Twitter again today. Some people liked it. Some people had tweaks on it. I think something fun to do All-Star weekend, you know, whether you eliminate some of it, you know, some of the competitions, or you do this, is a street ball tournament.
Yes.
One-on-one.
Love that.
LeBron versus Durant. You know, you bring in some legends. You have Jordan going up against Bird. One-on-one street ball. You can have, you know, Carmelo go up against LeBron. You can have you can have the Ball brothers, the Curry brothers, you know, against each other. Someone else, I forget who it was, on my Twitter page brought up doing a 3-on-3.
I was going to say that you can have the ball 3-on-3.
Yeah, you could have, you know, players that went to Kentucky, you know, play together. You can have LeBron play with Chris Paul and Carmelo like he never got to. You know, something like that. A street ball tournament.
That's a great idea.
I love it. I brought it up last year. It didn't really take off. NBA, you want to talk? You know, hit me up. I'll give you all the details on how to make this work. And I think the players would love that because they get to play with whoever they want. You know, I think you can still have the All-Star game, but you do it for charity, obviously, because I think the prize pools should be charity. They should be super high, so all the stars want to get in on it. You know, which again, like Joel Embiid, I mean, he's not playing. I hope he still gets his $100,000 check for being voted on.
He better.
Donating it to, you know, the homeless. And there should be more on the line for these players to make them want to do it. But I think a street ball tournament, whether it's 1-on-1 or 3-on-3, a little tournament bracket, I think it's a great idea, and I think it would reinvigorate for sure.
That's a great idea. And you look at some of the things the NBA has tried to do. Like they've tried to make the WNBA and the Legends a part of All-Star Weekend when they have like here's the Philadelphia Legends and their WNBA, even though they don't have WNBA. So they have them do that skills competition. That's sort of along the same lines, but doing it with the current players. Look, we all know that the big things in sports right now, besides the actual games, are the sports video games. That 3-on-3 street ball tournament is an integral part of NBA 2K. So why not bring it to the big stage?
Could you just imagine if it was like, I love the 1-on-1 because I want to see, you know, legends that are still young enough to, you know, I would love to see Michael Jordan, you know, make it to like, you could have like a 4-person, you know, legends bracket and a 4-person, you know, current player bracket. And who would not love to see 50-whatever-year-old Michael Jordan going up against LeBron James in a 1-on-1 street ball tournament?
I will pay money right now.
I would literally, if that was on pay-per-view, I would pay money for that. Okay, I mean, it would be amazing to see. Even though, you know, obviously LeBron's younger than Michael, but whatever. You know, street ball is different. Street ball is different. You know, someone like Kyrie Irving, you know, in his Uncle Drew character. Can you imagine the ratings for that?
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's
I'm all over it.
You look at the way the All-Star game is played, and it's played so much like a street ball game where it's like, you know, relaxing on the defense. This might step it up again a little bit, and I love that idea. There's a lot of
egos involved. If you're putting Kyrie Irving versus LeBron James in a 1-on-1 in the finals of the bracket, they're going to go all out because they're going to want to beat each other.
Now, you know that it's never going to happen because of injuries and money to be. Now, if you held it at the All-Star game at the end of the year, maybe you see an event like that. But in the mid-season, you will not see an event like that. You're just saying.
I absolutely agree with you on that. But on the flip side of the equation, I'm still, you know, guilty. I want that happening at some point.
I agree. I love that. So we're wrapping up here because it is almost time for All-Star Week. And I want to remind you guys.
Dinner time.
Yeah, right. I want to remind you guys that All About the Birds is partnered with 99jersey.com. That's where you see this lovely Kobe Bryant jersey from his high school. Use the code AATBirds for a 20% discount at checkout. You definitely should check it out because they're awesome. Tomorrow night, we have Chips and Dish like we do every Monday night. Tomorrow night, I am joined by Keith from the cover band Laura Lee Trick Fabulous.
What?
We're going to talk all kinds of
You couldn't get Laura Lee on?
I didn't ask her. Hopefully she'll be wandering by in the background.
If you get Laura Lee on, then I'm coming on that episode, okay?
Listen, I will put it out into existence. I will speak it out into existence. Or I'll just text her and ask.
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow night. Tuesday, we have Fairway to Heaven. You're going to be reviewing.
Well, we got the Arnold Palmer Invitational. It's almost over right now. Again, fantasy golf and gambling on golf, people forget about it. You don't need to wait till football season to make money. The two people that are in first and second place right now, I picked both of them to win this event. And if you would have been paying attention to the show, you'd have bets on them just like I do. You know, Bryson DeChambeau's in first place right now. Lee Westwood, no one thought about 48-year-old Lee Westwood would contend this weekend. I did. He's in one shot back right now. So watch Fairway to Heaven. We have Chris Izukian from Fox the Gambler coming on this week. We're going to be breaking down next week's Players Championship. It's one of my favorite golf events of the year. Time to make more money. That's all it is.
Nice. Wednesday night, we do our All About the Birds weekly Wednesday discussion about the Eagles and all things shenanigans that they're trying to pull on us. Thursday, we got David Akers coming on to the All About the Birds Inside the Vault show. So we will give you more details about that on Wednesday. Saturday is our draft show. So All About the Birds is always building, always looking for writers. Friday nights, we have our YouTube exclusive Beers, Birds, and BS show.
Yeah, right.
See, I got it on no notes. I'm not writing anything down. So
No
make sure you check it
ever.
out. No notes. Allaboutthebirds.com. Oh, don't forget March Madness tournament. March Madness is coming up. All About the Birds is sponsoring and running our own All About the Birds bracket challenge. It's a $5 buy-in, as many brackets as you want, each $5, of course. And you win money and you win swag. So make sure you check that out.
And aren't we doing a show as well?
And we are doing next Sunday night the bracket breakdown. We're doing the bracket breakdown. So we're going to come up with our original thoughts.
Live next week, next Sunday night, right when it comes out. We're going to break it all down.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pick chalk because I haven't watched any basketball this year.
All I know is that I'm pretty sure North Carolina and Duke are both not in it. They're both bad this year. I know that much. So
for Jason's sake, I hope Michigan State makes a deep run in the Big Ten, so his Michigan State, team can make the bracket.
So as always, this has been a special Sunday edition of Chips and Dish. That is Phil Stifle at Beard of Knowledge. I am Chip at Chip for the Birds. Listen, we do say our special, our Eagles one. So we do end it with Go Birds. So let me hear it.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. And then we end it with a little bit different one on here. It's I'm out of beer, so I'm out of here.
My drink's been empty.
I'm out of beer, so I'm out of here. See you guys tomorrow night.